tonight. Only a few hours left in 2025. Some NFL teams need some resolutions. We're here to give them out, and Swagoo is going to go first. Go ahead, Swag.
Dallas, you have a really good quarterback in Dak Prescott. If you don't somehow, some way figure out how to get this defense better and be able to compete week in and week out, we'll find ourselves here, and I said we because y'all know how I feel about Dallas, every single year. It is hard to outscore people every time you're out in 17 to 18 weeks of an NFL season. We have to get back to a level enough defense to get enough stops for Dak Prescott and this offense to be able to do what they've been able to do and put points on the board and secure wins in the NFL. If that happens, our future years will be better than the ones that we've had in the past.
Love it.
They hurt me on Christmas Day, giving up that last field goal there to Moody. I had them at 7.5 or whatever it was. They only won by 7. I'm going to take Burrow with the Bengals. And Swagoo laughs. He loves it. I'm going to take Burrow with the Bengals. Be healthy. Play 17 games. Don't say anything cryptic about, I want football to be fun. And then everybody thinks you're going to leave Cincinnati. Burrow's great. We need to see him play a 17-game schedule with those two great receivers. A good New Year's Eve revolution deal for the Cincinnati team.
I'm going to talk about the team in the nation's capital. What a nightmare 2025 was for the Washington Commanders. The NFL schedule makers crowned them as contenders and gave them 8 standalone games on television. But there was no other games on the tube. They went 0-8 in those 8 standalone games. Jaden Daniels' health obviously was an issue. And it was just like yesterday. We saw Josh Harris and Josh Myers, and they're standing on the side, Bob Myers, and they're standing on the sideline, yucking it up in the AFC Championship game. One of the worst teams in football. Hopefully different things in 2026.
Very good. I love all these. I'm going to give a quick one. Sorry to our producers. I didn't tell them ahead of time. I live in the New York area now. New York teams, can you be better? Please. The Jets, they're so hard to watch. Like, on my television, this is what I get every week. The Giants, so much promise with Jackson Dart. We're firing Brian Dable early. Everyone knows who they're going to have as head coach. It's a tough watch. Can we please just be better? Giants and Jets, please. Let's turn the tide. Make life better, too, while you're at it. You don't mind. All right, we move on now. Matthew Stafford struggled on the road at Atlanta. He threw 3 interceptions with a chance to help secure the 5 seed and the possible MVP trophy. Did not happen. Stafford could come up now with the dud, with none of it. While Jalen Hurts also went 0 for 7 in the second half against the Bills. Philadelphia's offense combined for 1 first down and 17 yards of offense in the final 30 minutes. Brutal. All ending with punts, by the way. But somehow the Eagles did end up getting the win. So who do we trust more in the NFC postseason? Is it Jalen Hurts or is it Matthew Stafford, Dog?
It has to be Stafford. And I know Hurts has won a Super Bowl, and I know he's played well in the other one. I think the Hurts question is more about their offense than it is about the quarterback. Stafford, I know he hasn't played great the last couple of weeks, and it probably will cost him the MVP, unfortunately. But he's won a Super Bowl. He's played very well in playoff games. Even in one game for Detroit, he played very well in against the Saints. He won a Super Bowl. The game last year against the Eagles in the snow, he played great. He beat Brady down in Tampa on a long bomb, the Cooper Cup, and in a big spot there when they blew the big lead. I trust him. Out of all the NFC quarterbacks, my life on the line, and I have to have somebody that makes some big plays for me, I'm still going to take Stafford over anybody else.
Swagoo?
I'm going Jalen Hurts, and it has nothing to do with who's playing the best right now. That's Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford arguably playing the best of any quarterback in the NFL right now. But Jalen Hurts is not going to cost his team. And that is sometimes to his detriment because we don't have the conversation about him being one of the better quarterbacks because there are not the gaudy statistics. It's not the numbers that a lot of these guys put up. But ball security, taking care of the football, understanding what's needed to win games in particular situations, Jalen Hurts has done a phenomenal job of that. And to your point, Mad Dog, in the Super Bowls, he needed to throw for those amount of yards. The Kansas City Chiefs last year made it a point that they were not going to let Saquon Barkley dominate that game offensively, and Jalen Hurts stepped up in that moment. Years ago when we saw him in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts stepped up in that moment and went toe-to-toe. Obviously had the fumble against Kansas City in that one, which he admitted that was probably a big reason why they couldn't win that game and sustain enough. But I don't think this question is about who the better quarterback is. Well, at least that's not how I looked at it, because Matthew Stafford is clearly playing better than most, like I said, most everybody. But Jalen Hurts in those moments, if he needs to go 9 for 10 for 140 yards and rush a couple times to convert some third downs, he consistently does that at a level. And yes, I am worried about the offense. But when it comes to trust, I think Jalen Hurts' ball security, plays that need to be made in critical situations, and not turning it over. And I may have not said this coming off an Atlanta game where I see 3 interceptions for Matthew Stafford, coming off the Carolina game where you see the 3 interceptions for Matthew Stafford. Turnovers bother me. And Jalen Hurts seems to have ball security first in mind when he's in the playoffs, which I think does a lot for them winning as opposed to trying to go out and be a gaudy statistic garner.
It's a good point. It's a good point. But the Eagles have had multiple quarters this season with negative yards. Not that it's Jalen Hurts' fault. It's just been an issue.
It's a good debate, and I think we're going to do it again next week. I think there's a very good chance that we see these two quarterbacks in the wild card round, and that the Eagles are the 3 seed and the Rams are the 6 seed, and we could roll this whole entire argument back again. But to Swagu's point, it's not one-on-one. This isn't the NBA. This isn't street yard basketball where we're all of a sudden talking about who can do what. It is a team effort versus a team effort. And the last 3 times these two teams played, Jalen Hurts has gotten the best of Matthew Stafford. And you can say, well, no. Saquon ran for 250 yards against the Rams on that Sunday night game. Okay, but you're talking wins and losses. The Eagles have had the Rams number. That said, Stafford's been electric this season, and this has not been Jalen Hurts' best year. I think the numbers are actually interesting. Kimberly Martin on Get Up said this. Every time that Jalen Hurts throws for more than 200 yards, they lose.
They lose,
That's a weird stat. There's some strange stats out there. So this isn't going to come down to a one-on-one matchup. Stafford's been amazing this season. Hurts has not been amazing this season. And yet Vic Fangio might be the greatest, neutralizer of all of them, because he seemed to have Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford's number the last 3 times they played.
Yeah, both these quarterbacks obviously are very familiar with the postseason. They've been there before. What were you going to say, Swagoo? Go ahead.
Which is why you can have an intelligent conversation instead of me having to curse Mad Dog out, right? Because the prism of this conversation can come from both ways. Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl champion. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl champion. Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls. It's how you look at it. And when that word trust specifically came up for me, this is the part where I get to Jalen Hurts and thinking about his playoff runs, and you can't point to a single moment where he's cost his team games outside of the fumble that I brought up. And I think they still had an opportunity to win that game had it not been for a pass interference call that everybody argued about in that Super Bowl a few years ago.
Call.
Yeah, so again, like I've seen him be able to raise the level to that 300-plus passer if you need him to be in those situations. But here's the caveat where we would probably fall in line. Shrey, you mentioned it, and Mad Dog, you mentioned it as well. This offense has struggled mightily. And they did not do that in those years in which they won Super Bowls and had those opportunities. Because in my mind as well is the piss poor performance they had in Tampa in the playoffs when we saw things burning down from an offensive standpoint. But right now, the trust in the individual is that I don't think Jalen Hurts would cost it. Matthew Stafford has high volume passing. He's going to try to make those throws because his arm talent is unbelievable. And sometimes it doesn't work out for him. You would think that it will. You would think that he would be more cautious from the standpoint of where he's placing the football and moving the ball down the field. But Matthew Stafford is a gunslinger. Jalen Hurts thinks ball security first.
I would tell you this, that both of these teams are going to go into the playoffs thinking that they can make a run, which I think is so unique about a wild card round game if they play. McVay will have his guys believing, hey, this is just the first of 4 games. Let's go take care of business today. And then the Eagles, of course, they walk into their home building where they rarely lose in the playoffs, especially under Sirianni. They don't. They're going to feel like, all right, this is just step 1. We've got a bigger goal at hand.
Somehow, the Rams, though, have struggled against teams in the NFC South. It's kind of been like their kryptonite this year. And let's go there because, Peter, you're going to be on the sidelines this weekend, obviously, for a Week 18 matchup between the Panthers and Bucks for the NFC title if the Panthers win. Okay, it's a little bit confusing because it's not whoever wins makes the playoffs. right? But so you explain this to us. What do you think will happen in this game?
Yeah, it's amazing. We're talking about the MVP, and is it Drake May or is it Matthew Stafford? If you asked us on November 15th, we'd say Baker Mayfield's in the conversation. They started off 6-2, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you understand? They beat Seattle in Seattle. They beat the mighty 49ers, and they beat up a Houston Texans defense that we're putting in the same conversation as the 2000 Ravens and the 76 Steelers. That's the same team that is now one of the worst teams in football. 1-7 their last 8 weeks. And the crazy thing is, and Mad Dog, I find this fascinating, they got healthier. So they got back Bucky Irving. They got back Mike Evans. They got back Jalen McMillan. What's fascinating to me in this matchup, and it's not so much the Carolina side, it's the Tampa side. Can you suddenly wake up out of the coma? Can you get off the mat and wake up today and say, you know what? We have a Saturday game where the entire country's going to be watching, a huge standalone game where we can still salvage this season and win the division with a little help, but we could still do it. Do they have it in them, or have they already packed it up and thought, all right, Cancun after this game?
Well, why didn't they have it in them against Miami?
Great question.
I mean, they had an opportunity against Miami.
Or the Saints.
And they got beat the week before against Carolina up in Carolina. It's hard. Listen, they're favored by 3 points, which I'm surprised about. It's hard to pick the Bucs in this game. It's just hard to do it. I mean, they've been so bad. They were 6-2, as you said. They only won one game. I mean, now I'm going to go run on them. I'm not sure if I can do that. And one thing, too, Spagoo, you know this. Carolina goes up and down. They have a bad game, then they play great. They win in Green Bay, they lose at home to the Saints. You know, they go beat the Rams, and then they lose to somebody else. Last week they got beat by Seattle.
They did not belong on the same field.
Well, it was 3-3 at the half.
Sure.
But, I mean, they did lose, so watch them play very well this week. Plus, Canales is going back to Tampa. Right. He knows that. And who knows where Bowles stands. Because he loses this game. I don't think they're bringing, I know he's got a contract, but I don't think the Glazers are going to bring him back. So I would say Carolina from that standpoint.
Bruce Arians did say yesterday he thinks that he will be back, Bowles. And you think that he'd have the inside track on that? Go ahead, Spears. What do you think?
So here's the deal from a football standpoint. One, Tampa got to get Bucky Irving going. They've had some problems. They had some injuries on the offensive line. But more importantly, y'all, I'm of the notion. And look, Carolina, it would be phenomenal for Carolina to be in the playoffs. That would be a team. Think about where we were last year with Bryce Young and this team not knowing what direction they would go. But I'm telling you right now, Baker Mayfield, he has that thing in him where he can lose his mind for 3 hours in any given game. Now, it hasn't looked good. After their bye week, they've been 1-7, but this dude, competitive spirit, bro, is a big thing. And for a game where they potentially are playing for something meaningful with him and his guys out there, I would not be shocked if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers walked away with a win. What would be shocking if I didn't see a good performance from Baker Mayfield. That would shock me in this particular moment based on what I know about Mixtape Baker.
Let me just really quick, though, explain. Even if the Bucs do win, if the Falcons also win, the Panthers make the postseason, not the Bucs.
Panthers are in.
A little confusing. Go ahead.
2 quick thoughts. This is the single greatest NFL day on ESPN. You've got 2 monster games, and every one of these games, objectively, is more significant than the Fox slate the next day. So that's one thing. That's on Saturday.
Don't take my mad about away. You may continue.
I apologize, my friend. I did not see the script. Number 2, the Falcons and Saints are playing better football than both of these teams right now.
Right.
And that's the irony of this thing. The Falcons and Saints are both playing better football. Saints look great. Falcons looked amazing
this
on Monday
division
night.
is wild.
Both these teams are better right now than what we're seeing. And guess what? It's our 18-week season. This is what it comes down to.
Would you rather win the division at 8-9, like the Bucs will,